Hi guys. Hello, Professor Linda. Pardon me if I pronounced it wrong. So, I'm starting my presentation on the villain study I did on the character Shubh Joshi. It is from a psychological thriller Indian series called Asur. I'm gonna talk a lot about Asur and Shubh Joshi in my presentation more deeply and more nicely. So, let's move on to our second slide. So, the table of content includes three parts. First, the introduction about the series, the character, the the villainy. So, the first will be the introduction. Second would be the villain, the actual character, how the character is, how the character looks like, how his childhood is about, and third would be villainy, his deeds, his actions, and the stuff he did. So let's move on to our third slide. So before starting about the actual villain, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Maheen Banvora, but I just prefer Maheen. I'm a student in Chemical Laboratory Technician course at your campus. And my genre interest in literature would be psychological thriller, mythological symbolism, and exploring between goods and evils. So let's jump on to the actual slides and not talk about me. So, so let's talk about the background of Asur, starting with where he's appeared in. So Asur is a psychological thriller series. It has two seasons. Asur, Welcome to Your Dark Side is the actual name of the series. It's a mythological criminal drama which is available exclusive on Wood or Geo Cinema with subscription. It is created by Gaurav Shukla and Vibhav Shikhar, and it was produced by the company Ding Entertainment. It was written by multiple peoples. I have provided the names of them, and it was directed by Oni Sen. I have provided a reference link. Where did I get this information from? And I have provided a different page of a reference link. Whatever I've used the information in the my presentation, my images and stuff, I've provided a different reference page for you. You can check that out. So let's move on to the actual background of the Asur. So the series Asur is a psychological thriller set in modern day India. What makes it unique is how it combines forensic science with deep rooted Hindu mythology. The central mystery revolves around a serial killer, which is Shubh, who commits a series of symbolic and ritualistic murders. But what's more terrifying is that he doesn't see himself as an evil. He believes he is an asura, a being of higher intellect beyond right and wrong. Then the CBI. The CBI is like top level of police, like most top level of police in India. So the CBI gets involved, especially two forensics experts, Nikhi Nair and Dhananjay Rajput, who try to take this killer, Shubh Joshi, down. But as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that there is more than crime investigation. It's a battle of ideology and belief systems. The killer, Shubh Joshi, isn't trying to escape. He's trying to prove a dangerous point that evil is a part of human nature and morality is an illusion. The background sets stage for why Shubh is such a complex and psychological villain, which I'll explore further in the next slides for sure. talk about Shub's childhood. This slide explains how Shub Joshi's early life shaped the villain he became now. Shub was born with an extraordinary intellect. He was logical, observant, and always questioning things around him. But instead of being appreciated, his intelligence was misunderstood. His father was extremely religious and couldn't accept Shub's refusal to believe in God. He didn't see a gifted child, he saw a threat. As a result, Shub grew up facing emotional neglect and mental abuse. He was treated like something evil, and eventually he started believing it. He was called an asura, a demon, not just by others, but eventually by himself. This constant rejection made him feel disconnected from the world, like no one understood him or even deserved to. So his villainy didn't come from greed or hate. It came from a place of deep trauma, isolation, and twisted awareness. He began to see himself as someone chosen to bring balance by destroying what he saw as a blind faith and moral hypocrisy. That's why his crimes are not just an act of violence, they are a statement. Let's move on to our next slide, and I'm gonna talk about his present now, his nemesis now. In Asur, I would say, um, personally, I feel like Shub Joshi doesn't have enemies. He has ideological opposites. His two main nemesis, according to the series, are Nikhil Nair and Dhananjay Rajput. Nikhil Nair is the guy, the bearded guy without the glasses, and Dhananjay Rajput, short from DJ, which his colleagues used to call him, is the one with the glasses and the beard. So let's start with Nikhil Nair. Nikhil Nair is a forensic expert who left CBI to become a teacher due to his personal reasonings. He's thoughtful, deeply moral, and emotionally driven. Shub targets him specifically not just to defeat him physically, but to emotionally and mentally break him down. For Shub, destroying someone like Nikhil Mer is like proving that even most moral people are fragile. On the other hand, Dhananjay Rajput is a senior CBI officer still working there. He represents law, structure, and responsibility. But he's also linked to a big part of Shub's trauma. Shub sees DJ not just an opponent but as someone who helped creating him. So, as I talked about the childhood of Shub, Dhananjay Rajput had a great part of like creating him in a villain. He also saw him as a threat when he met him in his childhood and tried to stop him by arresting him for like 7 years, and that enraged Shub more. Um, yeah, so this was his nemesis, or you can say enemies for now, the two enemies. Let's move on to the next slide, which says why I choose Shub Joshi from Asur as the main villain for my villain study is because he's not a typical villain. He isn't driven by greed or revenge alone. He's driven by a belief, a deeply rooted ideology that challenges our understanding of morality. He sees the world through the lens of logic, myth, justice, but twists those concepts into something so terrifying. Um, Also, I want to add a little note here. Asur means a demon. like a sinister demon. And Shub Joshi, because of his childhood trauma and stuff, he sees and considers himself as an asur. He considers himself as a sinister demon. Apart from this, what makes him stand out to me is his calculated calmness. His ability to manipulate not just people, but thought systems and even faith. He represents the idea that evil cannot come from pain, but from the brilliance that is misused. That's far more dangerous and real than the over the top villains we used to see. As someone who loves both science and psychology, I found Shoop to be a perfect storm of intellect and trauma, a mirror to what happens when mind grows but the heart disconnects. Do some analysis on Shub Joshi, the character. First, I would like to talk about what makes him a villain. So, Shub isn't just a murderer, he's a calculated philosophical villain. He kills people in ways that are symbolic and carefully staged, not out of impulse. And his crimes include everything from serial killing to psychological warfare, psychological warfare, sorry, and even recruiting others to commit violence in his name. What truly makes him a villain is his complete detachment from empathy. He sees people as a tool, either to use or to destroy. In his mission to prove that morality is fake and chaos is the truth, that's what makes him terrifying. His crimes aren't random, they are part of bigger and dangerous belief systems. These are some crimes that are committed by Shub Joshi that include serial killing, psychological torture, cybercrime, child manipulation, framing others, mass manipulation, terrorism, social dispersion. But I would say Shub Joshi's crime go beyond just murder. He's a serial killer, no doubt. Yes. But he doesn't stop there. He plans murder that are symbolic, ritualistic, deep rooted in mythology, and designed to send a message. Now let's talk about his motives. What are his motivations? Shub's motivations are deeply psychological and philosophical. At the core, he believes that the world pretends to be more, but in reality, people are selfish, weak, corruptible. So his goal is to strip away that illusion. As a child, he was called genius, but he was so isolated, emotionally abused, and made to feel like an outsider. The trauma shaped his worldview. He saw how society punished those who were different, especially those who questioned the traditional ideas. In his mind, he's not evil, he's necessary. He believes that he was born as an Asur, not to destroy for fun, but to bring the truth through destruction. He wants to show that chaos is the natural state of the world, and he uses murder, technology, and manipulation as tools to do that. His motivations are scary, yes, but within the story, they are twistably understandable. He is just a villain for shock value. He is a reflection of how society can feel those who thinks differently. So, from my perspective, his motives are more emotionally driven rather than the physical needs. Like, he was not greedy for the money, he was not greedy for the position, not fame. He was just there as an emotionally driven, unstable villain who sees people as tools and wants to use them or destroy them. Villainy. What the actions and deeds he did. We already talked about it. Now let's talk about the villainy and the evil of Shub Joshi. Is he evil? Do you think from the explanation I did, I would love to know. Do you think he is evil or he's right on his place? I would really, really love to know your feedback on this. So let's talk about it. Is he evil? When he born? Definitely. No, he was not an evil when he was born. But later, when his father started to like literally isolate him emotionally and saw him as a threat and used to call him a demon like an asura, yes, after that, as he grew more and more evil with his age, he really challenged the morality, started questioning non-evil deeds. After a certain period of time, he started considering himself as a demon and stopped denying that evil is in him. Another thing I would like to talk about is what Sweden's category he will fit into. That I will be talking in the next slide. But I'm sorry, it was not going on. Okay, here. Next thing I would like to talk about is what Sweden's category he will fit into. First of all, it would be idealistic evil. Commits horrific acts to fulfill ideology he believes in. And second one is instrumental evil, as he's into mythology and astrology. He's really smart scientist and intelligent from birth. So he uses others as a tool for his goals. Now, as we are towards the end of our presentation, let's summarize whatever I talked about this villain. So, what makes Shub Joshi a great villain, according to me? Shub Joshi stands out not just because he commits horrific crimes, but because he forces us to think. His actions raise question about justice, karma, whether evil is made or born. That moral complexity mixed with his intelligence and convictions makes him one of the most intriguing villains in the modern Indian storytelling. Something I would like to include apart from Shub Joshi is I love the genres where the villains and heroes are fighting psychologically. Fighting through fist is good, but love how it creepy it gets when they fight with the terms like manipulation and emotional weakness. Love the genre. Love the creepiness. It does creep me out a bit, but it's chilling. So let's move on to our last slide. And here we are at the end of the slide. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to my presentation. I hope I was able to share not just what he did, but why he fascinates us. And maybe even reflect some uncomfortable truths about society and ourselves. I'm happy to answer all the questions and would love to know the feedback. Like, do you think is he able? Do you, what do you think about Shubh Joshi? I would love to know that. I know the presentation should be about like 5 to 6 minutes, but I cannot stop talking about Shubh Joshi. Like I cannot summarize everything in 5 to 6 minutes. I had to take the 20 minutes. Thank you very much to bear me for 20 minutes and have a great day. This was presentation by me. It was Mahin and it was lovely talking to you, Miss Linda. Bye bye.